Okay, in the last video we created this table called teachers, and I showed you that you could flip between datasheet view, which is the view that we created the table in, or design view, which I indicated to you is eventually the method I would prefer that you create tables in. But what I didn't point out that was really, really important is that the first field name that was created here was the teacher ID field name. And you'll notice here that it's a data type that's called an auto number. An auto number field means that it's given an automatic number. So you'll see that when we enter data into our table, that it's going to be assigned. The first record will be a 1, and the second record will be a 2, and then the third one will be a 3. And let's say you delete record number 2, and then you continue adding. 2 is never going to be used again because it's meant to be kept as a unique identifier. So the next record that's added would actually be record number 4. And so the idea behind that is, let's say you have two teachers that have the same name, Joe Smith, right? So Access needs a way of identifying Joe Smith 1 from Joe Smith 2, let's say. So they just assign this unique identifier field that is an auto number, which just makes it easier. In years past, oftentimes people would use a unique identifier for people that would be their social security number, right? Because we know that the social security number is a unique number that identifies each of us. But that ran into issues because you don't want your social security number all over the place in different databases just to be used as a unique identifier, because obviously people can do a lot of damage if they get a hold of your social security number. So we know that each of our cars, right, have a unique identifier called their VIN number, right, that uniquely identifies the car as that car, or you might say your license plate if you're talking about by state, right? We all have one at CCRI as our student ID number, right? You have a student ID number that uniquely identifies you. So if you have the name of someone else, then that student ID number is how they tell you apart from somebody else that has the same name. Okay, so that's the idea behind that auto number data type. And what they call a field like this is it's actually called a primary key field. And you can see here that this was actually set for us. See how in design view, I never did this, right? We just created this table in datasheet view in the last video, but it was assigned to be a primary key field. And because it's an auto number field, it will pretty much be set as primary key, because that by default means that it's a unique field. Okay, and that's what you're saying. When something's primary key, you're saying that it's going to not have any duplicates. No duplicates allowed. Okay. And we'll learn when we get to design view how you could set the primary key, turn it on or turn it off when we create a table in design view. But I just wanted to point out to you that this was kind of done for us already, and I was remiss in not mentioning it in the last video. Okay, so I'm going to go back to datasheet view here, and I want to point out then that since this is an auto number field, I can't actually type it in. It just has this new. But watch when I tab over to last name, if I start typing in a name here, automatically that teacher ID number is being assigned a 1 because it's the first record in the database. You also notice that there's this little pencil here, which is indicating that I'm currently editing this record, right? So actually this is last name, so I'm going to change this to Mouse and Mickey, and maybe his hire date is 8/1/1985. Notice that there is a little calendar here. So if it's a current date, what's nice about that is you could just click on the calendar and pick the date, and then it would fill in the hire date for you. Okay, I'm just hitting a tab to go from field to field. I want to point out here that if I were to type the phone number right now, that I could literally just type, say, 285, which is not a valid phone number, right? And I have to actually type in the parentheses and all of that. We're going to learn about a feature called an input mask that makes it so that you don't have to do that. I'm not going to bother to enter cell phone because I'm being lazy. And so what I want to point out here, and here I just type in 46,000 because it is a currency field. As soon as I tab off the field, it's going to bring me down to the next record, but you'll see that it formatted it with the comma and the dollar signs and all of that. So I didn't have to type that in. Okay. So now when I come down to here and I start doing the next record, right? So I enter Donald Duck, you'll see that he's given a number 2. So you want to be careful of this, because if your auto number fields are off, that is going to screw up your grader exercise. So what you could do, it's kind of unfortunate when that happens. You could delete it and then do this thing called compacting and repairing the database, which I haven't actually taught you yet. but it's something that you can do. It's actually under here, under database tools, compact and repair. And I think that will reset your auto numbers back so that 1 would be the first one. But just pay attention to that. Don't add a record, because as soon as you add a record, it's not going to let you to do that one again. Okay. So for now, all you need to know is that basically you would enter all your data in here. Okay. And I'll come in later and finish entering data. But the other thing I wanted to show you is that you have the ability to select all of the fields. See how like grade taught is not showing, home phone number is not showing everything. If you click up here, this selects all of the records and all of the fields in the table. Okay, so we learned in the previous video that the way that we can best fit, we have it selected. We go to the Home tab. It's kind of buried, which I don't really like. In the Records group, under More, Field Width, you can go and pick Best Fit. And now watch when I do this, it's going to make grade taught home phone number wider to show the largest entry. So see how there it's showing. Basically, all that's doing is making it so that it's displayed on the screen wide enough to show your largest entry. And that's something that they're going to have you do fairly often. I'm pretty sure that if you also wanted to, let's say, I'll do it here. If I click, say like if I make these smaller again, just like we could do in Excel, right? See how I could shrink these up or make these as big as I want by simply dragging them like I did in Excel? You could also select here, and if you double click between any of these, they would best fit all of them. And I'm pretty sure that would be the same as going to More and then going to Field Width and then picking Best Fit. For grader, you might want to do it this way. For the book assignment, that Best Fit would work fine with me. That's what I would typically do, is use that method. Okay. All right. So for now, that's all we need to know for this video. Basically, how you can add records to a database.